this particular item. For instance, this time frame from 3 to 6, it shows, that's a weekday. That's our largest number over the last 10 years where we've had fatalities affecting. And if I scroll down just a little bit, you can see the season and time of day. Kind of interesting to see where these fatalities are happening. You'll notice 38% of those were happening in the winter versus the fall or spring. And this is a tool that we haven't had for, this is relatively new, and our team is working to try to understand more of what this information is telling us and helping us make decisions on how we can either educate and or improve situations on the roadway. The reason I bring this up today is earlier this week, there was in an effort to improve motorcycle safety, the Department of Public Safety and UDOT kicked off a Ride to Live campaign. And a couple of statistics that jumped out that kind of interesting to me. I'm sure others out there as well. The motorcycle crashes are 11 times more likely to be a result of death than other crashes. And one thing I thought was interesting is the leading contributing factor for motorcycle drivers in a crash are following too closely, failing to keep in a proper lane, too fast for conditions, and speeding. One other last statistic I'll throw at you here today is 31% of drivers who hit motorcyclists are turning left. So I just want to kind of, I'll throw these couple of websites in the text box so that everybody has a link to them. But we have a couple of websites. One is Ride to Live that provides some opportunities for motorcyclists to sign up for classes so they can improve their skills. They can learn tips and understanding the rules about riding, and especially as it relates to lane filtering. And then also we have another website here on our Zero Fatalities page that provides motorists some tips on how to better see motorcyclists and be aware of them, surroundings. We can share those roads together and be safer. So that's kind of all I was going to touch on today. I always do this, and as a reminder, I just want to remind everyone to buckle up, be alert, be focused, calm, and sober as you're driving. So any questions for me today?
Go ahead, Natalie, please.
Troy, I just wanted, I think I heard you right, but you said 40% of the motorcycle deaths are left-hand turns?
31% of drivers who hit motorcyclists were turning left.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Barlow.
I have a question. Have we had any deaths on the part of police riding motorcycles? Presumably they're the most highly trained riders.
That's a great question, Commissioner. I do not have that information at my disposal. I can find that information out though.
Thank you.
You bet.
So Troy, what is the psychology behind the turning left accidents only? What is it? Any research has been done?
I mean, there's a lot of speculation. I think there was a zero fatalities. This last week we had a zero fatalities. I forget what it's called. Meetings, and we talked about how we register and how we look for vehicles as or motorcycles as we're driving. And there's a lot of psychology and discussions on how you're scanning intersections and you're looking, and sometimes if you're scanning too quickly, you miss the opportunity of seeing. I can't dive into the science behind that. That's way outside my expertise. But that's one thing that stuck with me is the ability of people just being in a hurry and maybe being distracted and not looking and scanning as well as they should be as they're making those maneuvers. That's certainly only one suggestion. I mean, there's probably many other out there.
We can remember just the mom's rule: look to the right, look to the left, and then cross. If we can just follow that mom's rule, it will be all safe for us. But Commissioner Barlow, you have another question?
Well, just an observation. having been a motorcycle rider myself, I always kind of had the feeling that I was invisible to people in cars.
Commissioner Kramer.
I know this is a touchy topic, but with two former legislators on the screen, what about the helmet laws currently in Utah? Is there status change at bay or what? Where does that stand?
Well, I would have to lean on maybe Linda to help me, or Carlos, if they might have a better understanding of where that sits today.
Yeah, helmets are required up to 21 now, but after that, it's voluntary.
My son wanted to become a motorcyclist. Then he became an emergency room doctor. He said, the question is not if you're going to show up in the emergency room, it's when you show up. So I'm just real sensitive about this, as we all are. I know it. Anyway, I know it's a very, very sensitive topic.
Commissioner Barlow.
My sons wanted to ride motorcycles, and I told them, if I ever catch you riding without a helmet, that's the end of it. You lose the privilege. I see older fellows riding motorcycles without a helmet, and I think to myself, how stupid that is, because my understanding is that most of the fatalities from motorcycles are due to head trauma.
Yep. Commissioner Law.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was, so I paid attention to the new marketing communication that the department is putting out. And so yesterday I was particularly aware of motorcycles and their drivers. And hopefully part of this is reminding not only regular drivers to watch out for them, but to remind them to be smart. When you've got motorcycles who are pulling up between two lanes and just swerving in and out of cars, I backed way off because I felt like this driver that I was watching yesterday was just acting very irresponsibly, trying to make sure he was at the front of the line between two cars. And there's less than a foot between the motorcycle and a car on either side. Yep. As the lights change. So hopefully our motorcycle riders and helmets, same thing with helmets. They're riding side by side with no helmets. Hopefully our motorcycle drivers are trying to be as safe as the rest of us are being asked to be.
So, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead, please, Carlos.
Yes, thank you. That is, Commissioner Law, what you're referring to is called lane filtering, and the legislature authorized that a couple sessions ago. The theorem is that the motorcyclists are safer if they can get up to the front of the queue and be the first to take off, and they wouldn't be subject to possible rear-end crashes, people coming into the back of a queue. And so I think that's one of the things that we're trying to do is educate the automobile drivers. That is a legal maneuver, but also the motorcyclists on really how to do that in a way that might be safe to do as well. So it's newly authorized, so it's different, and that's part of what we're trying to do in this campaign.
Okay,
that's great information. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you. Commissioner Kramer, you still have the hand now? You have another question? Okay. Commissioner Van Tassel, did you have a question? I guess not.
I was just going to make a comment that when the helmet law comes before the legislature, there is a very organized group that shows up and packs the committee rooms. And someday that might happen, but you get those that feel like they're 21 and can make their own decisions. It is a tough deal, and I think I was there when we passed the 21 law, but eventually I think that might happen, but I think it's a year or two I think it's several years away.
Okay. Thank you for your comments, Commissioner. Any other questions from either Troy or Chris? Thank you both for the presentation. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a public comments. Consists of 2 segments, live and of course written. The live sections will be by the Cache County officials, and the written comments will be presented by Eileen Barron. So if you are from Cache County, you have to come. Please introduce yourself and your capacity of the service, and then speak to the mic. Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Is our audio coming through okay?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. My name is David Zook. I'm the recently elected Cache County executive, and I'm joined today by Logan's Mayor Holly Daines, Senator Chris Wilson, Representative Dan Johnson, as well as Jeff Gilbert from our Cache MPO. And first of all, on behalf of Cache County, we'd like to express our appreciation as well to Commissioner Ray Barlow for his service representing us here. He's done a tremendous job and represented us well. Thank you, Commissioner. We'd also like to thank and welcome Rhonda Menlove to the commission. We're confident she'll do a great job representing us here in the top of Utah, and we've worked with her before and we have the utmost respect for her, so welcome, Rhonda. We'd also like to express our appreciation for the resources and assistance we've received from the UDOT Region 1 staff. We're thankful to have Rob Wright here to help us, and we're excited to see progress on the SR 30 and 3200 South projects moving forward soon. Now, onto the business that's before you today. Earlier this month, we provided written comments to the commission regarding the draft funding list for the Transportation Investment Fund and the Logan Main Street project. And we understand that based on yesterday's commission workshop, UDOT feels that it could fit the project into the TIF allocation once there is clarity on the final scope of the project. That is actually great news to us and seems like a reasonable approach. However, we would love to receive a little more clarity on the timing of the funding and a more firm indication of whether or not funding for the environmental phases of the project might be available. As you may know, we have been discussing this project for a considerable time. With more than 40,000 vehicles per day, Logan's Main Street is at capacity. With the growth that is anticipated in Cache County over the coming decades, we know this problem is not going to go away. This is one reason we think the project performed exceptionally well in the Commission's TIF Highway Project Ranking System, where it scored 8th statewide. In fact, it was the highest ranked urban project outside of the Wasatch Front. For the past year, we've been working through the UDOT Solutions Development process with the jointly funded Logan Main Street Corridor Study. We expect to have this phase of the study done by August or September. While there is still work to be done before we settle on the preferred option in the environmental phase, we expect to have a pretty good idea of where we are headed by the fall of this year. And we could reach a preferred option within a reasonable amount of time. While we've explored the idea of one-way couplets as a potential solution, we are committed to moving forward with whichever option emerges from the solutions development process, including honoring stakeholder and public involvement. Once again, thank you for the support that was indicated yesterday. And I wanted to offer the opportunity to Mayor Daines, Senator Wilson, or Representative Johnson if you'd like to add any comments.
Okay.
Good morning, Commission members. A couple of notes. First, to let you know, there are 2 reasons that we aren't a little bit further along with this project. One, as Executive Zook mentioned, UDOT asked us to take a step back and go through this new planning process, which I think was a very valuable step. And as I understand it, it also teed us up to be ready to move very quickly into the environmental process. The second was data collection. We were ready to go to the data collection phase in mid-March of last year. It was just about to begin and the traffic dropped off on Main Street dramatically, and it just didn't make sense to collect inaccurate data. So those are the two mitigating factors of why we're a little further out on getting to a solution. But I also wanted to just toss out the idea, UDOT is scheduled for a big maintenance project on Main Street through Logan in 2025. So one thought is perhaps you know, we could get the bigger project up and going by 2027 or something, and then roll those funds into that rather than, you know, doing a big, you know, maintenance project before that. Because Logan is also struggling to get the funds to redo all the infrastructure under Main Street. We want to do that prior to, you know, a big project. Clearly there are rules about cutting into the, you know, new asphalt, and we want to be a good partner there. So that's one potential suggestion, and those are two reasons why we're a little slower at coming up with, you know, some potential options. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioners, I'm Representative Dan Johnson, and I have the privilege of serving on the Standing Committee for Transportation in the House of Representatives. And I just want to reinforce the thoughts that have been shared with you today, and look forward to hearing in the future the Commission's decision on the information that was provided in the letter that you recently received from the county executive and others. So I want to thank the Commission and everybody in UDOT that worked so hard. And I want you to know that I'll do whatever I can legislatively to assist in this project. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Also, Commission, this is Senator Wilson. I guess I'm the new guy, so I'm just still trying to get my arms around everything, if you will. I see Carlos smiling there. He saw me in action try during the committee hearings on IGG this year, so I appreciate it. Looking forward to working with you to taking care of many of the transportation needs we have here in Cache County with the growth that we're going to be experiencing. So thank you very much. Appreciate all your time and service, and looking forward to working with all of you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for your service, and thank you for being patient with us. We are really looking forward to do something for the Main Street in Logan. Everybody is interested. Everybody has some ideas, but it's just a matter of the timing. And yes, the last year, when traffic dropped in your community, there was no need for any kind of immediate action. But Mayor, what is the traffic level right now? Is it back to normal? What is the percentage?
I would say we are back to normal. Things are moving along. The economy is really prospering in Cache Valley. So we're fortunate that way.
Okay. Well, Representative Dan Johnson, thank you for your service. Thank you for helping us and supporting us all the time. I appreciate it. And Senator, be patient with yourself. We'll come to you, and you will learn all the tricks that you're going to need to help us and help your community. Thank you. Yes. Go ahead, please.
No.
Did you raise your hand somehow, or you just question?
I was being very friendly and waving to you, so thank you.
Thank you. Carlos, you have any comments? Anything you would like to share?
No, Mr. Chairman, I really appreciate the comments. I think this really speaks to the process that we're in right now. We're all very committed to trying to help, you know, Logan and Cache County kind of create that community of their dreams. And so thank you for the comments. The letter will provide a response back to that. And I'm committed that we're gonna work with you guys to try to figure out a way forward to make this work. As you said that, Mayor, on the traffic numbers, I pulled up the statewide traffic numbers. We have a dashboard we can look at every day. And the last 7 rolling day average in the I-15 area, so that's where we have our sensors right now, we are at 97% of where we were in 2019. So yeah, I would imagine Cache is probably a little ahead of that, maybe that urban core area, but we're really back to where we were at, and I expect that growth to continue. So we do have some challenges that we need to address. So the UDOT team is committed to work with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Commissioner Van Tassel, go ahead.
Thank you. I would just like to compliment Cache County and Logan on your fourth thought. Can you imagine if you didn't have 10th West done, what situation you'd be on Main Street? You know, you did some things that was proactive and took some pressure off. We realize we have several communities in our state that have Main Street issues. You're a long ways ahead of most of those. So thank you for your effort.
Mr. Chairman, can I pile on Commissioner Van Tassel's comments?
Please, please.
Because, you know, he's so right on. I mean, that was a very innovative approach that the county and the cities took. We traded some state roads for local, you know, they took on some state roads when we made the commitment to build 10th West. And that wasn't easy for anyone to do, but it had a lot of foresight to it. And the other thing I want to just compliment the county on is I hold them up as an example statewide to all local governments on how they've been so proactive about access management. They have led the state in access management, and it has helped preserve, you know, the mobility and safety for the future. So they are leaders in that area as well.
Yeah. Mayor Daines, you have to promise me one thing. When we get to the point of helping you to fix the main street, you have to pitch in and do your sidewalks, because you need sidewalks in that town. Anytime we come to the meetings, we walk in the streets. We don't have any sidewalks to walk on. So please design some sidewalks.
Street are in really good shape, and we actually, that is one of our goals, though. We're expanding sidewalks to make our downtown more pedestrian friendly.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from you, Dot?
I have one final comment.
Go ahead, please.
I think that when we complete the 30 project that we finalized, I think that will move some traffic off that southern end of Main Street that I think will give us a little bit of relief. And because I think some people will move north and that are going north. And I think that's a good project in the long term that will benefit the Cache Valley a great deal. Not that we haven't had access, but it's just been in and out. So that's a great project. I think we're under construction on that this year, I believe, or soon to be. I know we had some environmental issues we had to adjust, but they were going to be there whether we did it this year or 10 years from now. So I think the commission's decision to go ahead and build that project was the right one. And I look forward to that having a great benefit to your county.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. Rob, do you have any comments when you're working with the mayors and the city officials? Rob Clayton?
No, Rob White.
Oh, Rob White, I mean. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I've enjoyed my short time working in Cache Valley. I'm still trying to meet all the players and get to know the folks up there. But I took a trip in Cache Valley and I hadn't been north of Logan for many years. And I took a drive up there with our maintenance folks a few weeks ago and was pretty amazed at how much traffic 89 carries, not only in Logan, but both north and south of Logan. And there's a lot of challenges in Cache Valley, and we look forward to working with the county and the cities, the local communities there to get the best solutions that we can up there.
Thank you, Rob. Well, Mayor, we're coming your way sooner. Hopefully we'll be all in good purpose, and it's going to be a good main street for you, for all of us to travel and enjoy it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you for being here with us. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eileen, my dear friend, you're up.
All right. Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
And Ivan Hartle is going to share the written document. I do want to acknowledge that the Cache MPO submitted a letter, and that's linked here in this document, and hopefully Heather can get a copy of that letter to you, but I'm going to forego reading that since you were able to hear from them live in our comment period this morning.
Okay.
And we have one other written comment. This is from Andrew Gruber at Wasatch Front Regional Council. To the members of the Transportation Commission and UDOT, the members and staff of WFRC would like to offer a somewhat belated expression of appreciation and admiration for UDOT's efforts and successes in the 2021 legislative session. The actions taken by the legislature and governor would not have occurred without the dedication and professionalism of UDOT and the trusted position UDOT deservedly holds. At the beginning of the legislative session, all 4 of Utah's metropolitan planning organizations, along with the Utah League of Cities and Towns and the Utah Association of Counties, jointly developed a letter of support and principles for state infrastructure investments. The principles included invest in infrastructure, support multimodal transportation choices, utilize the professional planning and prioritization process, and be fiscally prudent, balance current infrastructure investment needs with long-term fiscal stability. It is not hyperbole to say that the legislature and governor's actions were historic and unprecedented in the degree to which they advanced these principles. HB 433 and related legislation authorized and directed $1.1 billion in infrastructure investment in state and local roads, transit, and active transportation, the most multimodal investment of state funds in Utah's history. Just as notable is what was not legislated. For the majority of the anticipated future investment, the legislature did not direct which projects should be programmed. And for the legislated projects, they were drawn almost entirely from Phase 1 of Utah's Unified Transportation Plan. In other words, they recognize the collaborative, inclusive, and data-driven professional planning and prioritization processes that we utilize in Utah for the investment of public funds. We all should take a measure of pride in the trust placed in our shared work on behalf of all Utahns. Thank you, Andrew Gruber, WFRC Executive Director.
Thank you. Let's see, go ahead, please.
And I'm just doing a quick check if anything else has come in, and that concludes the comments that have been received this month.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
We have two more. Yeah, go ahead, Carlos.
No, I was just going to say that. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So we have two more live comments. So we're going to invite them to come to the mic and introduce themselves again to speak to.
Does Steve Evans want to go first?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thank you, Chairman Zanetti and the commissioners for your time this morning. This is going to be a real feel-good story, one that we can hopefully honor a young man that has paid the ultimate sacrifice. My time today is speaking about the change of the Mid-Valley Highway. The Mid-Valley Highway is, of course, going down the center of the Tooele County. It splits different communities. It splits Erta and Grantsville and Tooele. And by renaming the Mid-Valley Highway to the Jordan Bird Memorial Highway, we would bring not only our community together in Tooele County, but also the whole state of Utah. This isn't new, of course. We've been able to, as a community, rename a bridge for Navy SEAL Jason Workman. Salt Lake City also renamed 3rd South for Marine Adam Galvez that paid the ultimate sacrifice. And so just a little bit of history. Jordan Bird was the senior class president at Dugway High. He played on the baseball team and the wrestling team. He was deployed to Afghanistan. His deployment was deferred so he could see his young son Aiden be born. And he was able to spend some precious weeks with Aiden before he was deployed. That was the last time that he was able to see his wife and his son. Jordan ran out when one of his fellow brothers was hit in the leg by rifle fire. Doc Bird applied a tourniquet and then was succumbed to a rifle round that ended his life. This young man signed that blank check to America, and we as a nation cashed that. And I would just ask that this commission change the Mid-Valley Highway name to the Jordan Bird Memorial Highway in order to honor this young man for that ultimate sacrifice. Thank you, Commission.
Thank you, Steve. Next person is Jody Steinfeld. If you, Jody,
Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, could I ask Linda just to speak, because I really respect Mr. Evans' request here, and maybe Linda can offer some thoughts on the path forward. Would that be okay right now, Mr. Chairman?
Sure. Do you want to hear from Jody first, or you want to?
Is it the same subject?
I don't know. Yes, I think. Okay, let's give the Jody a time if she can, please, first. Jody? Well, go ahead, Linda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
We frequently get requests about naming highways, and I'll just give a little bit of outline on that. So as you know, the state code outlines the duties of the commission, and the duties of the commission that have been outlined in state code do not include the authority or the duty to name roads. When we look at how roads are named or special designations are made, there is a section in code in Title 72, Chapter 4, Part 2, where the legislature has given special names or special designations to highways. I generally see one of these bills at least every other year, every 2 or 3 years. So I could say that that would be evidence as previous action taken by the legislature to consider and adopt legislation making a special highway designation. It indicates that policy makers believe that this is their role to provide a special designation. It may be appropriate if persons are interested in naming a state road, it would probably be appropriate to contact their own legislator to see if there would be interest in introducing a bill to do that. So that's just what I have to comment.
Thank you, Linda. Steve, did you get that information?
I did. Thank you. There was some misinformation from UDOT saying that there was the authority there in the commission. So my apologies for that. And thank you again for all of your time.
No, thank you for being here and informing us and request. Thank you. That's an honorable request, and we really respect your request and your residents. But whatever the Linda says, if you don't mind, follow up with your representative. And that was the straight way to go. Thank you, and thank you for being here with us. Okay, any other comments that we have? I don't see anything else, Carlos.
I don't either, unless Jody Seinfeld was wanting to comment.
I did not hear from her.
Okay, yeah, one more shot there.
Okay.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Sorry to cut in. Jody is Jordan's aunt, and she's saying that she's having some difficulties with the technology. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, convey our love to her, Steve, and then we'll just, like I said, we'll follow up on that. Thank you. Okay, next item on agenda is item number 5, consent agenda, which Ivan Harder will introduce that along with the program development. Ivan?
Good morning, Commission, Mr. Chair. Our first item, item number 5, this is the consent agenda. We begin with our fact sheet outlining the packet that this contains, including the consent agenda packet, is the staff update from the March 18, 2020 meeting, which includes the STIP workshop minutes, the March 19, 2021 commission meeting minutes, and a list of projects that is included in an exhibit that have been awarded, have been identified with budget recovery or in the closeout process and have funding available to be removed or reprogrammed. Again, our exhibits and handouts here. We will come back to the fact sheet at the end to introduce the motion request. Slowly scroll through. This is the minutes identifying the topics that was covered in the staff update on the Thursday meeting, followed by the minutes of the commission here, introducing each item that was discussed in the commission meeting. And at the end of our meetings is the exhibit that contains these 4 projects that we're requesting consent agenda action on. 2 of them are adjust to award, and 2 projects that are in project closeout status. So jumping back to the top, our fact sheet, our motion today, our request is a motion to approve the adjustments to the projects in the included table and approve the 18 March staff update and 19 March 2021 commission meeting or commission minutes as detailed.
Barlow makes a motion to approve.
Evans,
Law second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on item number 5. And I encourage everyone to read those minutes, wonderfully prepared by Heather Barthold. She does a fantastic job. If you want to know what happened last month, what was discussed, what items are approved, please take time and read. Credit goes all to her. She does a fantastic job. And so let us make sure that we do our due diligence and reading our minutes before we come in before the commission. So we have a commission motion with the second on the item number 5. Any other corrections? Modifications, suggestions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item number 5 is approved.
Thank you. Moving to item number 6, 6A1 is a funding and scope addition to the US 89 Farmington to I-84 project. $60 million funding of TIF funds request to add to this project. The original scope of the US 89 project stopped short of the I-84 interchange due to funding constraints. The public has been very vocal about concerns of current and future traffic backup at the interchange at I-84. In response to these concerns, UDOT has done additional traffic analysis and has confirmed that the traffic can back up for more than a mile on northbound US 89 during the PM peak and add more than 5 minutes of delay to commuters. This delay is only anticipated to increase with the completion of the US 89 reconstruction project. The additional scope proposes to add a new SPUI, which is a single point urban interchange at the I-84 US 89 junction. New on and off ramps will be built to provide better sight distance, standard deceleration and acceleration lengths, and improved storage. The bridge on I-84 over the Weber River will also be reconstructed as part of this project. Included is a map with our design proposal of what this new intersection would be built as. In the background here, you can actually see the on and off ramps of the existing interchange. Our request today is a motion to approve adding the scope and funds to the US 89 Farmington to I-84 project as detailed.
This is a really critical need. I make a motion to approve.
Gochner second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on item number 6A-1. Any other questions, concerns, comments? Donna, please.
Just a question. Ivan, you talked about the fact that this has created some community concern. With this change, does this address that to their satisfaction?
Terry, you want to respond to that?
I can try to respond to that one. I wanted to just let you understand with the process we went through yesterday and talked about our full program and looking out to 2030. One of the first steps we took is to look through all of our current projects because we need to make sure those are funded the way they need to be. So we looked at all the current projects, made sure that the scope was what it needed to be, that they had the right money to move forward. We usually come with those once a month. And this is one of the projects that we said, we really think this needed to have this scope added to it to make the project whole. And so while it's a large amount that we're adding at this point, it's because we are programming out our money for some time. And we think this is important to get the correct scope on this before we do the rest of the projects. So maybe Lisa wants to speak to the more specifics of the project.
Okay, Lisa.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just add that the region's been doing a lot of work on this section since the current US 89 construction started. They've been doing a lot of modeling, studying this area. An ultimate build out is probably in the $500 million range. Through modeling and a lot of work with the communities and our design team, they found this interim solution. This will buy a lot of time. before we have to get to that ultimate expensive project in that bigger range. But as stated in this document, this is probably the #1 reason that the region gets comments from the public. They've been frustrated that it seems to have been forgotten up to this point. So this will be a big win for the communities and the region as well, being able to provide this improvement moving forward.
Commissioner Kramer, question?
I certainly agree with both the comments of Lisa and Terry. I've had comments about it. This is a ton of money. We know that. And so we need to be thoughtful about it, but I do know the need is there, and I support it for that reason. And I'm grateful we have the resources to do it because it really is needed. So I'm supportive of it. Just commenting.
Commissioner Law. Donna, do you have a question? Okay. Commissioner Van Tassel.
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay. And I would like to compliment all three of you, Terry, Lisa, and Ben, and I know Ivan was involved in not. This is a much better description than we reviewed on Monday. Thank you. Thank you for that extra addition of the language. So we have a motion and a second on this particular item. In all in favor of this project, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries and approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6A2 is a funding addition to the SR 193 extension, 2000 West to 3000 West in Region 1. The SR 193 extension project needs $1.72 million of funding in order to finalize the purchase of property. The property owner signed a right of occupancy and preliminary trade agreement so that the SR 193 extension project could proceed while the details of the purchase and trade were finalized. We are ready to move forward to finalize the property transaction. Located here on our map, the SR 193 extension. Also included is a visual that shows the property that we're discussing, highlighted in yellow here. Our request today is a motion to approve adding funds to the SR 193 extension 2000 West to 3000 West project as detailed.
Barlow moves to approve.
Second from Kramer.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Further discussions, questions, concerns?
I simply say land is not getting any cheaper. So let's get it bought and get going. So
Ditto to that.
yeah, grateful we have the capacity to do it.
Okay. All in favor of this project, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6A-2 is approved.
Thank you. Moving to 6A3, the Mid-Valley Highway Environmental Reevaluation. An environmental impact statement, or EIS, for the Mid-Valley Highway was completed in 2011 for a new highway between I-80 and SR-36 south of Tooele City. The first phase of this new highway is currently under construction from I-80 to SR-138 and scheduled for completion in fall of 2021. The recent and rapid growth within the Tooele Valley has changed the conditions within the valley to a point that a reevaluation of the environmental document is needed to identify if the preferred alignment should be adjusted between SR 138 and SR 36. Region 2 requests adding the project to the current STIP and allocating $1 million of TIF. And a new project, our map shown here, between 138 and 36. Our request today is a motion to approve adding the Mid-Valley Highway Environmental Reevaluation Project to the current STIP as detailed.
Van Tassel moves to approve.
Commissioner Evans, I second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. And this project, we have talked about this for last few years. So it is really worthy one, and they need this because of the congestions and the traffic pattern. So any other questions, concerns? You can also suggest a better alternative if you want. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Go ahead. I was waiting for that. Thank you. All opposed? Thank you. Item 6A-3 is approved. Ivan?
Thank you. 6A4 is a Region 2 new state transportation alternative projects in their transportation alternative program. Shown here is a table including 4 projects: Riverton, Holiday, Bluffdale, and Salt Lake County. The Transportation Alternative Fund includes projects and activities that encompass a variety of smaller scale transportation projects, such as a pedestrian and bicycle facilities, recreational trails, safe routes to school projects, community improvements such as historic preservation and vegetation management, and an environmental mitigation related to stormwater and habitat connectivity. Region 2 conducted an application period to determine eligible projects in the area, utilizing the 2020 Workshop Transportation Alternative Funding. Shown here on our map, in Holiday, West Salt Lake County, in Kearns Township, Riverton, and Bluffdale. Also included is a zoomed in map identifying the projects. So here in Riverton on 1300 West, bike lanes. In Holiday Boulevard, a sidewalk. In Bluffdale, sidewalk. And Salt Lake County, bike lanes. Our request today is a motion to approve adding these 4 transportation alternative projects to the Region 2 Transportation Alternatives Program and to the current STIP as detailed.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'm happy to second it.
Thank you. So there's a motion and a second. Any other questions regarding any of these items? Ivan, thank you for your team and putting such a beautiful map and detailed information for us to see in the color coded. Thank you. It's very, for some of us that they don't live in the neighborhood, this is good to see location of the project.
Thank you.
All in favor of this particular item number 4, say aye.
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 Any who oppose? Thank you. Item 6A-4 is approved.
Thank you. Moving to 6A5, it is a I-15 southbound 123rd South to SR 201. It's a funding addition located in Region 2. Region 2 requests adding $7.4 million of additional TIF to the I-15 southbound project. Contaminated material was discovered under the UP rail line in the project's limits. This project will remove the contaminated material to a certified disposal site and replace it with clean fill. These additional funds would also cover the cost for adding enhanced striping through the project limits. They address the 2019 tanker fire and additional third-party utility delay costs. The increased project funding will cover the following costs, broken out. Our project map shown here, as well as a picture of the enhanced striping that will be used in the project limits. So the white followed by a black striping. Our request today is a motion to approve adding the funds to the I-15 southbound 123rd South to SR 201 project as detailed.
Barlow moves for approval.
Okay.
Law second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Ivan, maybe we can ask even Chris Peterson. He mentioned something about the supply shortages for the construction. What about the fill? Do you find any shortage of the fill, Chris?
Had to plug in the fill when you use the fill material, dirt. No, there's plenty of fill material as they have to deal with this issue related to the contaminated material. They need to haul that off to a location, but there's locations where they'll be able to find material to bring in and replace it.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Kramer.
Just a question. Do we have responsibility for Union Pacific's contamination? Is that what I'm understanding from the proposal? Don't they have that requirement themselves?
It is, unless we disturb the material as part of our project. And so when we went in there and placed the new rail and made the rail realignments, because we disturbed the ballast, then we're responsible to take care of that and treat it. If we hadn't touched it, then that's not our responsibility.
I see. Well, anytime you talk about I-15 southbound, it's a soft chord with most of us. We want it to work, so I'm supportive of that. I get it.
Commissioner Law, questions?
Well, I was just wondering, as we went through this project, did we anticipate that we would be disturbing and creating a problem with this? And then also, we talked a little bit about striping yesterday. Is part of this that more reflective striping?
I'll jump in here. So in regards to anticipating the hazardous waste under the ballast, I would say no, we did not anticipate there being contaminated materials in that area. As far as the striping is concerned, the department has been looking at this. I don't know if the commission remembers, but on the northbound project, we also requested funds to address the same type of striping. What we're finding on concrete pavements is that the highly reflective material that we placed, the tape, is great, and it sort of almost blinds you at night because it's so bright. But the trade-off has been that during the day, at some of those times of the day where there's a low aspect of the sun, it creates a sheen, and some of the stripes aren't as recognizable as some of the shadow lines. And so this, they call this the tiger tail. I don't know where that comes from. I have no clue, but that black contrast really stands out during the day, and we have the wet reflective striping at night. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. Similarly, or I guess on top of that, a lot of vehicles now are becoming equipped with the ability to detect where they are in a lane, adaptive steering or lane departure sorts of things. This black stripe actually helps with that quite a bit, so it enhances some of that safety.
Okay.
Interesting information. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor of this item, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-5 is approved. Ivan?
Thank you. 6A6 is US 40 Soldier Creek Road to Fruitland. It is a high volume road project. We're requesting $3.2 million of additional funding. The current project scope is to crack seal and chip seal US 40 from milepost 52 to Fruitland. Since the project was programmed, fatigue cracking has developed on US 40 between SR 208 and Duchesne. Fatigue cracking is caused by inadequate structural support in the pavement. Pavement coring was completed to identify what treatment was needed to repair the pavement. The cores revealed that water was entering the pavement surface through these fatigue cracks and longitudinal pavement seams. This is causing stripping in the surrounding asphalt. If the pavement is allowed to continue without a preservation treatment, this pavement section would need a mill and overlay to replace the damaged pavement within an estimated 5 years. Region 3 proposes to add this scope of work to the US 40 Soldier Creek Road to Fruitland project that has a similar scope and is in close proximity. Shown here on our map, the blue line is the existing project scope location. To Fruitland here, And here's the additional project scope and location on US 40 into Duchesne. The picture of what the fatigue cracking looks like. A motion to approve. Our request today is a motion to approve to add funding and scope to the US 40 Soldier Creek Road to Fruitland project as detailed.
I think part of the cracks is caused by Commissioner Van Tassel driving on it for the last decade, going back and forth.
Well, it hasn't been the last 6 months. I would move for approval.
I'll second.
Thank you for both of you. Any other further questions, concerns, corrections? Thank you for that too. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-6 is approved.
Thank you. 6A7 is the US 89 fence repair project south of Birdseye. Our request is to abandon this project. On July 26, 2019, a mudslide ran over US 89 near Birdseye, damaging sections of the field fence. The maintenance crews were able to repair the fence to keep the cattle from entering the roadway. Region 3 proposes to abandon this project as it is no longer needed. Shown here on our map on 89 near Birdseye. Our request today is a motion to abandon the US 89 fence repair south of Birdseye project as detailed.
I move for approval of that, and hats off to the UDOT workers for being able to get that fixed without having to do this new project.
I agree. I'll second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any questions, further questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-7 is approved.
Thank you. 6A8 is the US 6 Powerhouse Road in Spanish Fork. It is a scope and funding addition of $650,000 to the existing project. The current project scope is to add a signal at the intersection of Powerhouse Road and US 6. US 6 has a single lane in the eastbound through lane and a second eastbound lane that becomes a right-hand turn only lane at this intersection. During the design of the project, it was suggested that a second through lane be added to the US 6 in the eastbound direction to allow smaller accelerating vehicles the chance to move past the truck traffic accelerating from the intersection and climbing up the canyon. There are no other eastbound passing lanes within 4 miles of this intersection. This would also increase the storage capacity of the eastbound leg of the intersection and improve through traffic movements. So located here on our map, down towards the lower right-hand corner, this is actually climbing up the canyon here. Here's the intersection with that the signal was going to be placed, will be placed. And here's the picture looking up the canyon in the eastbound direction. You can see the single through lane and the second lane that becomes the right-hand only turn lane. Also included in the exhibit is a design overlay. Here's the intersection located on the left-hand side. That's set with what the second through lane would look like on this project. Our request today is a motion to approve adding the funding and scope to the US 6 and Powerhouse Road Spanish Fork project as detailed.
I'd move for approval. This is Commissioner Evans.
I would second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on item number 8. Any further questions, concerns? Donna, go ahead, please.
As we go through these items each month, and for some reason, particularly relative to this project, I just think it's so great that we have the opportunity to explore these as we find better solutions, even mid-project. So I just want to say thanks for that perspective that gives us an opportunity to make things better.
Thank you. Commissioner Van Tassel.
Thank you. As I look back over the last 15, 16 years that we've been dealing with Highway 6, these little projects has increased safety, and we have made great progress on this almost insurmountable problems that we had there. And our death loss in this highway has really significantly decreased. This is a great project.
Thank you for that comment. I appreciate that. Any
Mr.
further
Chair.
comment, questions? Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, this is Matt Parker. I just wanted to add, on to Commissioner Law's comment that the Transportation Solutions Program really allows us to do these improvements to the projects. So I just wanted to thank the commission for allowing us to use those funds appropriately.
Well, thank you for using it appropriately, Matt. Thank you. All in favor of this project, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-8 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. 6A9 is the SR10 Clawson intersection improvement. UDOT and the town of Clawson jointly funded a project that would develop a left turn lane at the intersection of North Main Street and SR10. A design proceeded the estimates to build the turn lane, and other improvements came in at more than double the anticipated cost. At this point, the town requested UDOT review the intersection of Rock Canyon Road and SR10 for improvements, including left turn lanes. The estimates for this project also came in extremely high. In February 2020, in the February 2021 commission meeting, the Rural Intersection Warning System project was approved with the region to determine future locations. UDOT proposed to the town of Clawson to utilize this system as a cost-effective alternative to the Rock Canyon Road intersection. The town of Clawson has provided the attached letter showing support for this change in scope and abandoning the old project.
I don't want to be dumb, but where in the heck is Clawson in Region 4? We haven't had that on our trip before, have we?
In SR10 in Emery County.
Oh, good. Well, I'm sorry to
So
be
it's right in
ignorant.
between Farron and Castle Dale. So it's right between
Uh-huh.
Farron and Castle Dale.
Time for a road trip. Okay.
Me too. We have missed out on some of these.
Amen.
So Rick, while you're on, have we had any data collection on these warning systems? Because they're relatively new. Can you elaborate on that, please?
They certainly are new for Utah. Washington State has been using several of them, and we've got our kind of design from them. So as we start looking to put these out at kind of those 4 locations we showed you in February, and Clawson being one of those, we'll certainly start to analyze it. And we're certainly working with our central traffic and safety to try to understand how these could work in Utah.
Okay. Thank you. And if it doesn't work, then Clawson people can go back and save their money and back to the project. They can do those in different designs, right? They have the right to do that? Okay.
Yes, I mean, that is the next step. I mean, this is certainly the plan we had was to put a lot of money out there on the roadway, asphalt, turn lane, to build the turn lanes and all that stuff. And this is hopefully using technology at a lot lower cost to kind of solve the same problem.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Barlow, question.
This is really interesting technology, and I would move for approval of the project.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? Please don't be shy. Ask, educate every one of us. More questions, more education. See, and Donna, go ahead. You have a comment?
No.
Just adjusting adjusting your camera.
Yes, I was checking my jowls.
Okay. All in favor of this project, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-9 is approved.
Thank you. Also included again in the packet, it includes the letter from Clawson Town to the department. 6A-10 is the SR7 Southern Parkway from Sand Hollow to SR9. This is a funding addition of $3 million of TIF funds. This Southern Parkway segment was advertised in November of 2019. This request is to add $3 million into the project for 3 separate issues that have caused additional expenditures on the project. These 3 issues are listed below: to increase the increased mitigation of the desert tortoise, increased utility relocation expense, and the increased archaeology mitigation expense. Shown here on our map. Included is several pictures of the issues that they've addressed. So the desert tortoise, a picture of the utility relocation challenges they've incurred. You can see that's cutting straight through stone, so it included blasting to try to get to the depth and the cut that they needed to place the utilities, as well as some pictures of the archaeology, how close that is on the road and into their projects.
Rick, would you please explain a little bit more information about the archaeology side?
Yes, so you can see we found extensive archaeological issues across the entire length of this segment of the Southern Parkway. Some of it we certainly knew was there, but like the site that you're looking at, the picture here, we were not aware of the level of an unanticipated discovery that we found out there. So just a quick update of, this cost over $1 million more to address the archaeological information on the Southern Parkway, but anything over 1 square centimeter has to be labeled for curation, and all these artifacts are actually put in bags and sent to the University of Utah for the Natural History Museum, and those will later be dealt with, whether they go into a museum or wherever they end up. But just to give you an idea of how much we found, we had 2,000 bags of bones, with about 15 bones per bag that was located on this section. 3,500 bags of pottery, lithic scatter type stuff with about 40 pieces per bag. A lot of charcoal samples, and what's very interesting in this is we found very multiple unique spearheads, and we have to do analysis on those, and they're doing 3 different types of analysis. They call it an optical simulated luminescence, a Sibian hydration analysis, and a protein residue analysis, that they try to date this information and try to understand the culture and what the climate was during that time frame. And I just got the little thing from our environmental guy, but he said he'd definitely say that our little collection, although small, is worthy, simple, because it is one of a kind, an Ice Age assemblage recovered in situ with depository integrity in Southwest Utah. This has never happened before.
Wow.
So it's an Ice Age type situation. They're trying to find, the different types of proteins that could be on the spearheads to find out what type of animal it was that the Native Americans were hunting there. So our project is doing a lot of scientific and cultural research for a lot of universities are tied into this to do the research, and we certainly pay a lot of money, but it's the right thing for us to do for the side effects of our project.
Rick, shouldn't we have our own museum in the southern Utah rather than shipping everything up north?
Yeah, something to consider in the future. I mean, we have along the entire. Yeah, Donna might want to talk to the University of Utah and see if there's something there, or even down in Dixie. But over the 26 miles of the Southern Parkway, we have had multiple finds that are very, very unique. And some of these pictures we show, I mean, the phase right before this one, we were finding different homes that were built with fully intact floors and everything. I mean, it was very, very interesting. And in that project, we actually kind of put a pause and allowed 1 month of time frame for the universities to come down and actually see what we had found, and actually did several tours and stuff of that location. So it was a unique opportunity for a transportation department to tie to the universities and the archaeological studies, to actually have them see real life experiences of what's out there.
That's amazing. Go ahead, Donna.
Rick, just for a reminder, you just referenced the fact that the Southern Parkway is a 26-mile parkway that was started in 2019. Is this a 4-lane highway that covers that region?
Well, so the environmental document was completed, I think, in 2009, and our first segment was built at the same time the St. George Airport opened. So I think that was in 2012, if I remember, or 2009, 2012, right there somewhere. So it is designed as a 4-lane roadway. We have a 4-lane roadway section from I-15 to about the first 5 miles is 4 lanes, and then it's 2 lanes the rest of the way. We did do a lot of grading and drainage work to where the 4-lane section can go in the future. But so the first 5 miles is 4 lanes, but the rest of it is planned to be 4 lanes, but it's only being constructed at 2 paved right now.
That's great. Thank you for that background and for sharing this very interesting information. And if we're ready, I'll make a motion to approve.
Donna, one more comment from Natalie. You mentioned, bringing things up north and south and Southern Utah University, Dixie, whatever. I was reading a list of alternative names for Dixie State University the other day, and my preferred name is University of Utah Southern.
And mine is Southern Utah University, St. George. There you go. Natalie, they should just make us in charge of the committee, and between you and I, we could get it figured out.
We could figure it out, but we should stay in our lane as well, to use a transportation metaphor. It's not my business, but I think there's amazing possibilities to have a University of Utah in St. George.
Okay, for the minutes, this is a motion on the floor, okay? Change the name in the university. Thank you for the comments. Appreciate it very much. No, it is fascinating. I drove on this particular section of the highway last week with my wife. It's just amazing how beautiful, how scenic this beautiful highway is. And there were all kinds of bikers and all kinds of pads crossing, and just something. If you haven't been here, so you need to come down and see it. It's just gorgeous. It just simply, I can explain the view of the Pine Valley Mountains. You can see from the distance, especially when it's a little bit of the white powder on the Pine Valley Mountains, just make it majestic. Rick, thank you for that extra information.
Chairman, can I do a couple more things real quick? So when we bid this project and we got the bid opening for the contractor, we did do a budget recovery at that time, and we did pull $3 million off of this project. But these unexpected risks popped up. We did not expect this level of magnitude of this information, so we kind of are needing the $3 million back that we had gave up last spring. And then we are also looking for a grand opening of this corridor on May 19th in the morning. Most of you folks will be getting an invite to that grand opening. And the Ironman competition is starting, I think, May 2nd on this corridor, and we will May 1st. Yeah, so we will open it shortly for that competition and then close it back down to finish our paving operations. So we're working pretty closely with the Ironman committee.
Actually, we're working with the Ironman named Carlos Barceros, but okay, I get it.
Yeah. We can sign him up and see if he can handle it.
Carlos is the Ironman. Oh, that's great.
He is. How deep are those utility ditches, Rick, on that location?
I think the gas line was I think around 5 feet, and it was solid rock, where they were not anticipating solid rock, and they had to bring in a lot of different types of equipment to get through this solid rock.
Looking good.
Is the dig still active?
No, I don't think so. I think most of it is complete now. I took a tour out there just last week, and yeah, I don't think we're active anymore. And I think we've got all of our bags full, and now they're trying to figure out how to take the next step.
Okay. Can we go look for the arrows now?
No, you can't. I guess yeah.
Just kidding. Okay, we have the motion. We were waiting for the second.
Barlow, second.
I second, yeah, sure.
Now we have a motion and a second. Any other questions, concerns, or anything that you would like to ask, historical or otherwise?
Nagia, I just want to echo what you said, because after our last meeting, Myron with the
CMPO?
Thank you. The MPO just extended an invitation to all of us to come down and let him show us around. And so for those of you who choose St. George as a vacay destination, you know, take a couple hours and give Myron a call. I'm only an hour away. I haven't done it yet, but I do look forward to that experience.
Well, I can do that too. So whenever you're ready, there's invitation open for every one of you. Okay, with that, all in favor of this particular project, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6A-10 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last of the 6A items, 6A11, is SR24 asphalt rehabilitation and shoulder project, also located in Region 4. It's the it is an addition to the Transportation Solutions Fund, of $2 million. The current scope of this project will resurface 2 sections of SR24 from Torrey to Hanksville, totaling approximately 32 miles. Additionally, shoulders are to be widened through a portion of Capitol Reef National Park to better accommodate pedestrians and active transportation. In April of 2020, the Highway Safety Improvement Program, the HSEP funds, allocated $5 million to address shoulders near and around Capitol Reef National Park, addressing the narrowest roadway sections. This request will extend the 3 to 4 foot shouldering further west to the SR12 junction, creating a better shoulder to the park entrance. The shoulders will tie into the multi-use path that extends from Torrey to the SR12 junction. We have 2 sections of our map here. See the proposed widenings are the light blue line in the background is the roadway resurfacing limits. The planned shoulder widening with the current scope is the blue, and the proposed widening scope in the shown here in the red. This is around Capitol Reef. Our next map shows the areas near Hanksville. Here, again, the blue, the roadway surfacing limits, and the red showing the proposed widening and scope addition. We have a couple of pictures as well showing the narrow shoulders on these roadways. I think it's also showing off the beauty of the roads as well, but the shoulders are what the focus was to be on.
Now, isn't that beautiful poster picture for all of us to have on the calendar?
It's unbelievable, beautiful. I definitely move for approval. I love that. I'd like to take my friends there. My heart is with it, so I move for approval.
I second. It's Commissioner Evans.
See, the picture is worth 1,000 words right there. I didn't even have to ask for approval. So there you go.
Should have started with the pictures.
It is spectacular. We live in the greatest state in America.
We do. And that particular section, 24 Torrey area, is just beautiful, just gorgeous. So we have the motion and we have the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6A-11 is approved. Ivan, thank you.
Thank you. Our last item is 6B. This is the follow-up from the workshop in March that will help the department by identifying the funding for each of the programs. On our graphic here, we have our program list on the left. We have the fiscal year 2022, 2023, and 2024. The gray list, the values that are shown with gray shading have already been approved by the commission and no action is being requested. The yellow shows action that was approved by the commission, values that were previously approved by the commission, and we were requesting to amend these value amounts. On structures, it was 48 million in both fiscal year 22 and 48 million in fiscal year 23. The green shows new values that was discussed in the workshop. So new values being requested for each of these programs in the years shown here. And if you remember from the last slide that Nathan presented in our workshop, this is basically the same cutout of information from that last slide in the workshop. Our motion request is approval of the proposed program values for the 2021 program workshop as detailed.
Barlow moves for approval.
I'm happy to second that. It's Natalie.
Thank you. Any other questions from Ivan about this particular chart or Nathan?
The pictures aren't as pretty as the last one we reviewed, but I'm supporting it. The photos, I mean, you know.
Hey.
But there are colors, Lou. There are colors.
Color
Yeah,
coded.
that's right.
I would appreciate that. It's color coded.
It is. And it is, the results will be as beautiful as our photos we just saw in the last approval. So I certainly support it.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6B is approved. Ivan, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for your team and preparation.
Thank you. I was asked as we close this portion of our meeting to just go back and in this meeting talk about the locations for anyone wanting to look at the information that was presented yesterday. Okay. And again, I will navigate from our UDOT web homepage, our UDOT web page, very similar to the information that Troy and Chris presented earlier as we come down here to the Transportation Commission under the policy and funding section of the website. Scrolling past the information about today's meeting, we have the programming workshop presentations, which includes the state road legislative projects, as well as the state road highway transportation investment fund projects that was presented yesterday. The active transportation, the regionally important active transportation list that will continue to be discussed. As well, we would like to highlight the submit comment as we're seeking comments for any and all projects that UDOT currently has either on our list to be completed or even being completed right now. The submit comment is available for that. So that is what I had today. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ivan. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
You too.
Next item, number 7, corridor preservation. Charles Stormont will present that item for us. Charles.
Good morning, commissioners. Bear with me a moment while I get my screen up.
Okay.
Everything is running a little bit slow today. I'm not sure what's going on, but almost there.
It's Friday. That's okay.
Here we go. Let me know when you can see the screen.
There we go.
Okay, great. As we usually do, we'll review the status of the Marty Dillary Corridor Preservation Fund. We have a balance forward of just over $10.2 million. Turns out when you surplus property from the old Pioneer Crossing Connector project, you get some money back into the Corridor Preservation Fund. So we had a reimbursement of just under $6.4 million for a large tract of land that we were able to recently surplus. We're happy to see that motor vehicle rental tax revenue continues to recover. We're not back to the pre-pandemic levels that we were seeing in the $600,000 range, but we're definitely climbing on a good trajectory there. Strong rental revenue, continue to earn a little bit of interest. Expenses, again, holding steady on property management issues, along with taxes and other expenses. You put it all together and we, one interesting line item here, a parcel acquisition that you previously approved up on SR 37 in Clinton. She was an elderly woman. We worked closely with her family to make arrangements on her move out. We typically hold a key deposit just to make sure when we do a total acquisition that everything gets removed from the property so we get it in a usable condition. They had some challenges with that, so we worked together, our property management team, to find a way to help them get her moved out, and we used a small portion of the key deposit to take care of that, and they were they're actually very grateful that we found a way to work with them and cover that cost. So we have an interesting little reimbursement there. The net effect of that is a fund balance of just over 17 million. We have a number of items that have been approved, so the funds are obligated and they are in process. I will say we're going to talk about the top one in a moment, and the Royal Jade restaurant that you approved a few months ago has now closed. This fund report is a little bit dated just because of the timing it takes to get everything posted on the commission meeting website, but that one has closed, which is very exciting. It's a big obligation. Net effect is a little over $7 million obligated, leaving us with a fund balance of just over $10 million. We have one item that, if approved, would cost us $5.322 million, along with a de-obligation request that we'll discuss in a moment. You put it all together, and it would leave us with a net balance of just over $4.8 million if the items today are approved. Are there any questions about the fund balance?
I guess not. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. We'll move into item 7A. This is a request to deobligate $154,500. This commission approved funds to relocate a sign along East Gentile Street in Layton, anticipating a widening that would require the relocation of that sign. I'm going to move down to the map and try to make it a little bit easier to see. We've tried to give you a sense. This is kind of what the world looks like today according to Google Maps. You can see I-15 and Gentile Street here. The sign is on this corner. We've got to zoom in with some engineered drawings showing where it was planned to go from this corner down a little bit, and it would be out of the way of any widening project that might come. After your approval and before we were able to get it under contract, the underlying ground changed hands. The new owner has been less willing to work with us, and we feel not for lack of effort on the part of Diane McGuire, but we feel it's appropriate to go ahead and deobligate the funds. There are provisions in state code that if a widening project does ever impact this sign, we have a way to address it as part of the project. So we're confident that it's not going to be an obstacle to any future project, but we feel better to free up the funds so that we can put them to work on other owners who are ready to go under contract with us. And that would be our request today, would be to deobligate these funds in the amount of $154,500. The Corridor Preservation Advisory Council has given a favorable recommendation to the deobligation request.
Barlow moves for approval.
Law second.
There's a motion and a second. Any other questions, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 7A is approved.
Great, thank you. Moving to item 7B, this is a large parcel, just over 15 acres in Linden. Get down to the map. Try to give you a zoomed out sense of where the property sits relative to I-15. I'm not going to do the Vineyard Connector justice, but it's planned to go along this rough route. And I get a little hazy as we get over here, but this sits on what is planned as phase 5 and phase 6. You spoke briefly about yesterday about there's a front runner station just off the map right about here. where we are getting ready to go under construction. And then the next phase that's ready is going to be moving through this area. So it's a little ways out into the future, but something that we've been working on for quite a while. Again, this parcel is 2700 west, 400 north in Linden. It's owned by Property Reserve Inc. It's 15.272 acres, zoned regional commercial, which promotes commercial service, professional business uses compatible with freeway visibility. Has utilities. Property Reserve has had several interested buyers, but they have been willing to work with us. We have a larger trade that involves some property out on surplus property on SR 73, as well as 2 projects up in Region 1 that we're going to come together and use this property as part of that larger trade. There's some interesting accounting that thankfully Mr. Hartle is working with us to make sure we do it all correctly. But in order to proceed with that trade, we would like to ask the Commission's approval to obligate $5.322 million to purchase this just over 15-acre parcel. And again, the Advisory Council has reviewed this and made a favorable recommendation on this acquisition.
So moved. Kramer.
I'd second. This is Evans.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any other questions from Charles? Any comments? Kramer, go ahead, Commissioner Kramer.
I was just going to say, Commissioner Barlow has been such a stalwart in this advisory committee over the years. I've learned so much from him on our monthly meetings. I just want to thank him again, Wayne, for your service on this subcommittee. It's been just a pleasure to deal with you, and soon to be Commissioner Menlove will enjoy, hopefully, knowing more about what Charles and his excellent team do. So again, thanks to you both.
Thank
you.
And that's in being support of the motion as well.
Thank you. So all in favor of this project, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 7B is approved. Charles, thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. And I can only echo Commissioner Kramer's comments. Commissioner Barlow he's just a tremendous asset. He will be missed by all of my staff. We enjoy working with him a great deal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Item number 8 is State Infrastructure Bank, and Lyle McMullen will present that item to us. Lyle, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. Before I move forward, I just wanted to also echo all the kind comments about Commissioner Barlow. When I had the unenviable opportunity to have Charles's job for 19 years, I went through a succession of commissioners who are on the Corridor Preservation Advisory Council, some esteemed folks like current President Stuart Adams, now Trustee Kent Millington, and Wayne Barlow is right up there, neck to neck. So thank you very much for your time and service, Wayne. Commissioner Barlow, you've been very wonderful to work with.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward. The first item on the agenda, 8A, is a state infrastructure bank loan request by Salt Lake City for $7 million for the purpose of aiding in the construction of a $28 million parking structure that will have 926 parking stalls located in the industry neighborhood that is currently under construction between 4th and 5th West and 6th and 700 South. As you know, we have a prioritization process. We ran the application through that, and it received a point for each of the prioritization scoring criteria. The loan that is being requested is a 15-year term at 1.96% interest, which is 1.46% from the Treasury's response to our inquiry about what a general obligation bond would be, plus the statutory 0.5 or 50 basis points additive. And so to be consistent with what we do in the Corridor Preservation Revolving Loan Fund, we also have the State Infrastructure Bank balanced obligations. And so we'll go through this process. We currently have about 25 million in the fund. And that is, or we had, we did 2 loan disbursements that made it onto this report. One for a parking structure that you had previously approved for 2.16 million. That was dispersed in March. And then the second $5 million loan for the Provo City Airport expansion of $5 million. Those totaled 7.1 million, which when netted against that 25 would give us 17.9 million in the fund balance. You had previously approved 2 State Infrastructure Bank loans in the amounts of, well, it was actually 23.2 million to Salt Lake County. They had taken everything down except for 450,000, which my understanding is that actually got transferred to them this week and will be seen on a future update. Okay. We still have the second Midvale City parking structure SID loan that was approved back in May of 2020 for $5.5 million. And my understanding is they're still working through the process to take that down. There's also another $5 million that was from a capitalization, I want to say 3 years ago. And we were directed in the statute to reserve $5 million for a future Utah Inland Port State Infrastructure Bank loan. And so when that is taken out and the previously obligated, that leaves us with an unobligated balance of about $7,361. And the application that we have before you today is for 7 million of that amount, which will leave us with a lot to do a lot. About $361 remaining. All right, this is a picture, just a broad overview of this industry project and where the parking structure will be. And then the rest is the application. So I am open for any questions you may have about the loan.
So Lyle, when they're going to start this project if they got their loan? Do they have a timeline?
I believe we have a couple Salt Lake City folks on the line that can help provide some background on timing.
Let's go ahead and please. I would like to hear that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Rachel Otto from Salt Lake City. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you for being here, Rachel.
Thank you, and thanks to the commissioners for considering this. We are obviously working to help the applicant assemble the beginning part of this $28 million project. In terms of where they are on assembling the rest of that funding and when construction would start, they're anticipating construction no later than October of 2021.
Okay. And the completion, 2 years, 3 years? What are you anticipating?
That is a good question. Let me skim through my notes and see if I know when they're planning on how long the construction should take. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I believe it's 2 years they were predicting.
So what is your source of paying back this loan? What kind of?
We have Mary Beth Thompson, our finance director, also on the line, who can talk probably more clearly about the structure of the loan, but this is guaranteed by our sales tax.
Okay. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Any other question from Rachel or Mayor, anybody else? Ask now. Go ahead, Natalie.
Mr. Chair, I would like to speak in favor of this project, this loan.
Okay. Is that a motion?
That's a motion, yes.
Okay. Commissioner Van Tassel, comments, questions?
Question, is this located close enough to the new hotel that's being talked about that it'll benefit it?
Yes, sir. We see this project as being really pivotal for many of much of the development that's happening in that area, including housing and the hotel that you speak of. And one of the most exciting things I think about this project is the idea that it will connect to the 400 West rail spur when Trax is built out in the master plan. And we're working with the developer on making sure that this project is future proofed so that we can adaptively reuse it in the future. And I also wanted to correct something that I said that I was just corrected on. The developer does have all the other funding assembled and expect build out to be 12 to 14 months.
Okay. Even better news. Thank you, Rachel. Any other questions? Otherwise, I need to have a second on the motion that Commissioner Gardner stated.
Barbara will second.
Yeah, great plan. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second now. All in favor of approving this particular item, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8A is approved. Lyle,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
All right, so the second item on the agenda for me is just a preview of a rule update that we hope to bring to the commission next month. And this is a commission rule, and it's about the State Infrastructure Bank. Some of you may already know that the 2021 legislature passed House Bill 151, State Infrastructure Bank Amendments. And basically what it did was one significant change, and that is that it added a new project type called publicly owned infrastructure. And that's defined as a project to improve water or sewer infrastructure that is owned by a public entity. And the way that we had our rules structured, it narrowly defines eligibility to a transportation project. And so when the law goes into effect next month, we hope to bring an update to the rule for your review and hopefully a motion to move forward to file the rule to update it so that it takes into account the new statutory language. And it's basically a pretty simple change. And that is, I'll show you down here. And it's basically, the rule will say, instead of a transportation project means, I guess we need to go down a tiny bit more. A transportation project, we will say a project means what is defined in that section of the code, such that if anything, if the code is ever updated again, the rule will update automatically to accommodate any new project types that become eligible. So we're trying to future-proof the rule by making this relatively simple change. What questions do you have?
I just appreciate the forward-thinking, future-proof idea.
Okay. Any other question from Lyle? Thank you, Lyle. Thank you very much. Good to see you back.
My pleasure. I hope to see you again next month for the actual motion.
Okay. We will look forward to that. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. You do the same. Bye-bye.
Excellent. Okay. We're almost to the end. Item number 9. On the part of the information items, we have commission reports, committee reports. If you have anything you would like to report, raise your hand. I will recognize you, report your committees, and I will move on to the next person. Don't be shy.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, please.
I attended the Transcon meeting last week. They have submitted a listing of projects under all of our areas of focus. They have done a complete job, and those will be coming forward. And it was a productive meeting with lots of detail, and we'll see that coming forward as we move.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner.
I also think we ought to have Rick give a report of how his daughter did yesterday.
Okay, Rick, that's the committee report.
Committee report. She done really well. She took second.
Wow.
Wonderful.
You know, so it was a pretty good day.
I'm pretty sure to get all the talent and energy from your wife, Rick. I don't think you will be able to.
Yeah, definitely.
Any other report from commission? If not, I'm going to report the things. Yesterday, I asked a question about if $2 million was enough for the Northern Corridor. I received a message from Kim Manuel, project director for Region 4. He sent me this: the $2 million funded for design and POD will provide us the design and decision on crossing types, which will allow BLM to issue NTP notice to proceed, which is needed before any type of construction can proceed. Thank you, Kim, for that explanation of the $2 million funding.
Yeah. So, Chairman, just real quick, that will get us started. It may cost more than $2 million to get the entire POD approved for the full design if we design the full 4-lane corridor. So that $2 million will certainly get us started.
That's what I just want to make sure the commission knows. That's just a starting point, and we need to kind of look forward some more requests from you and the Region 4. And then, of course, I attended on April 17, Donna and I, Commissioner Lon and I attended to Tokerville by Parkway early celebration of the funding from the legislator. Even though they were so adamant, and we both, Donna and I, we told them, check is in the mail. And we're not going to make a decision until after May meeting commission. But they're very interested. They're very excited. Mayor talked about the history of the Tokerville. Senator Don Epson was there, talked about the legislative procedure process to get that money. And I spoke a few words. And then, of course, we had the developer, Darcy Stewart, talked about the projects that they have for that particular section of the Tokerville. Folks, they are very excited. They're anxiously waiting for their time to get that parkway started. It's a beautiful place. Then on April 8th, I attended to CIB meeting virtually. They had the sewer and water projects, 6 of them, which they did all the way from northern Utah to southern Utah. It's a good service provided from the smallest one, 2 million, to upper end, 15 million. Plenty of money there to spend, and thank you for that. And the day before yesterday, we attended to a Washington County DTEC meeting, which is the Dixie and Pool provides. And we had also people from Kim C. Gardner Institute, Jennifer Lever, Madley, and the Levi Pace. They came and talked to us on the future of the East Zion economic opportunities. Boy, that is a beautiful forecast. They talk about opportunities and at the same time, realistically, the challenges and obstacles. But it is going to be a great community in that section. By the time the UDOT finishes the roundabout, and of course the King County finishes up their visitor center, it's going to be greatest asset to get the congestion from the East Zion, from the West Zion to the East Zion at kind of balance. Hopefully will work out. And we had a report from the JPAC and also the local government. So those are my report for my committees. Any other thing from Carlos, Terry, Lisa, anyone? Additions, compliments, anything that we can? Anything from the commission? Anything from Rhonda?
Just, I'm very impressed with the work you're doing and the preparation by the UDOT staff and leadership. This is going to be a great opportunity, and kudos to Commissioner Barlow. He's done an amazing job, and I hope he'll continue to mentor me in this role. So thank you very much.
He's the greatest source, Rhonda, and every one of us were there to help you, whichever you want, but he will be the greatest source. And no, we're not putting you in the pasture, Commissioner Barlow, okay? You're not going away. You're going to be still with us like Commissioner McConkey is and the previous commissioners. You're in the advisor position. Please come to the meetings, call in, and don't forget, we're showing up in the raspberry season. Don't just say that you're not available. We're going to find you and we're going to ask you to buy us a raspberry shake.
Well, thank you very much, Nagi. I want to thank Commissioner Evans for his song, and I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Well, let me mention the next meeting, though, is May 21 to 21. Let's see, 22 to 21. It's this Thursday and Friday. It was supposed to be in Park City, but we're going to still do the virtual meeting. So be patient with us.
Hey, Nagi.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, I'm sure I'll make sure we have the newest release posted on iTunes and Pandora for those who want to download. Just kidding. Just kidding. Thanks for humoring me, but Wayne, there was a lot of love and gratitude there in spite of the musical performance. So thanks.
Yeah. We do love you, Wayne. Thank you, Evan. Thank you. So it's a motion to adjourn. It's not debatable. Wonderful weekend, everyone. Enjoy it. There's a beautiful, beautiful spring day out there. Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.